All right, we've got Max Keiser for 15, 20 minutes or so more. Really always great to have him on with us. You can go to maxkeiser.com and find out about all the different TV shows and the different work he does, the great articles he writes, the little videos he also posts with some of my favorites, the one he just shoots in his house. maxkeiser.com. I'm Alex Jones. Our website, of course, is infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. I want to go to calls, but earlier we were joking around some, but a point that Max made that is so central is that this is like rust. This is entropy. This is, the frog gets asked by the scorpion, take me across the river, and the frog says, you'll sting and kill me, and the scorpion says, no, I won't, I promise. And so the frog gives him a ride across. On the other side, the scorpion stings him, and as the frog's dying, he says, why'd you do that to me? He says, I'm a scorpion. There's always going to be evil, corrupt people and groups and piratical organizations. And they convince the public that evil doesn't exist if it's in a fancy suit. It only exists if it's some grungy homeless person or something. And so because we don't think old, bald-headed men in $5,000 suits can be evil, when that's actually some of the most evil people, they could just run wild a free hand. They've openly set up a police state. They're openly telling us we have no rights in this country. They're openly trying to consolidate and keep the gains they've gotten, ill-gotten, and expand them. And it really does, as Einstein said, the most dangerous and worst people in this world are not the evil people. It's the good people that know it and do nothing. And, of course, Thomas Jefferson said the only thing that evil men and tyrants need to flourish is that good men and women do nothing. And it's only going to get worse unless we stand up and recognize this is evil and stop rationalizing. So Max made a great point there, and I more and more realize that is the fact. You look in the mirror, that's who caused this. We caused this. We got to fix it. And the enemy, the parasites, are going to fight us. They think they deserve all this now. Usually evil is sneaking around and circuitous. Now it's out in the open like King Kong going, I rule you. Ooh. And we got to say, okay, you want to fight, you're going to get one. Let's go ahead and talk to Doug in Florida. You're on the air with Max Keiser and Alejandro Jones. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, Alex, the first thing I wanted to say is I'm a long-time listener, real big fan, first-time caller.
Welcome.
I have probably what is the only financial portal in the world that I know of that carries Prison Planet headlines every day in our financial portal. And
okay, give us your plug. Just go ahead and plug it and then ask a question to Max Keiser.
Okay, it's markettoolbox.com, and you can download the desktop portal there. But I also took your advice and started my own show, and I do a show every Sunday night. And in the 2 hours prior to going live with our market commentary, I stream sometimes. I did the Obama deception. I did some.
Brother, that's fine. And listen, I can have a little of this plugging etiquette, but it takes over the show. You better ask. Do you have a question for Max Keiser?
Yes, I do. My question for Max is, who I'm also a big fan of, is that at the end of last year when they changed the rules when you buy gold futures, so now you have your choice of getting two kinds of paper instead of the gold, what do you think will happen when the people wake up and realize the gold's not really there?
That's a good question. Max Keiser, thank you for the call,
Doug.
Good
question, very good question, and I wanted to get into gold. And this is on your show, Alex. I talked about this last year. I was anticipating a run on the COMEX, and that people would expect their physical delivery of gold, and we would break the stranglehold. Because what happens is the reason there is no gold there is because they've created more futures contracts than there is physical bullion. It's called naked short selling. They create futures contracts on gold that doesn't exist, and then they sell those contracts in the open market. And of course, when you sell something, the price goes down. But they're selling stuff that they themselves have created, a futures contract based on bullion that's not there. And they've traded millions and millions of ounces of bullion that doesn't exist. So the caller makes the good point, is that when finally there is a rush, and for the first time, Alex, the central banks around the world are now becoming net buyers of gold. And they've always traditionally been the biggest movers in the gold market. And this is going to give some support finally. And yeah, it's going to bust wide open. You'll see gold trade at an inflation-adjusted price, probably of $2,000 an ounce, and you got to be ready for that because that's part of.
Max, go ahead. Okay, we just lost him, so let's go ahead and get him back on. That's the issue with using IP computer systems, or it's France. That kind of stuff happens. happens. So let's get him back on. while we're waiting to get Max Keiser back on, let's get Dan on from Texas. Dan, in Texas, you're on the air.
I just wanted to ask him about commercial real estate, if he thought it was going to cause a money grab collapse and death of paper assets. But I think that's kind of what he was talking about.
Yeah, commercial real estate collapse?
Yeah. I've subscribed to the half-past human things, and they're talking about death of the dollar and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, regardless, we've seen a lot of the drop in housing. Supposedly it's going to continue for a while, but its descent is slowing. So that's some good news, but we're still falling. But the commercial real estate has just begun, and most of the experts, economists, and others have got good track records of predicting this stuff and forecasting it, say that is a big, big, big issue. But why don't you explain your question, because you're also making a statement, and then we'll ask Max, because Max is back on. Go ahead and ask your question of Max Keiser.
I just wanted to know if he thought commercial real estate was going to collapse this fall, create a money grab problem with this martial law thing that you keep talking about with the swine flu.
Yeah, commercial real estate looks like it's vulnerable, and it's yet another leg of the basic real estate collapse. It's way over leveraged, and yeah, that looks like it's baked into the cake.
All right, let's take another call. These are great questions. Should have gone to callers earlier. Chris in Maryland, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Alex, good to see your show, and I watched your movie Endgame last night. Great information. It does line up with Bible prophecy, but I wanted to ask you and your guest if you guys knew of a story here where veteran groups are blasting Obama for wanting to institute a plan where a soldier's private health insurance will pay for their war wounds or injuries incurred during military service.
No, that was 6 months ago. I had the head of the VFW on. It's true. They have proposed that your private insurance will have to pay. See, that's why Obama's in trouble. I actually have the bill, and I have his proposals. And it's not socialism. It is giving you an aspirin for a heart attack. It's kind of like unemployment insurance, and then you pay into it. The employer pays, and then when you need it, they kick you off for no reason. Max Keiser.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that, really.
Okay, caller, appreciate your call. Let's go ahead and talk to Dr. Gushing, I believe, in Ohio. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to answer my question. I have a question for Max Keiser about the speculation where the trillions of dollars are going for. My speculation is they're relocating the empire. The empire, the same empire in Egypt, was relocated to Rome, was relocated to Britain, was relocated to the USA. That's why you have obelisks all over the world, in the Vaticans, in Washington, and Britain. And now I believe they're relocating the empire from the USA to their favorite child, Israel. What do you think?
I would say more China is the new model because they exterminate their people, they sterilize their people, they carry out the eugenics. But let's get a comment from Max Keiser on that. Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, I think they're untethering themselves from the physical world, and it's all basically on a database. So it's a movable feast, especially as various parts of the ecology collapse. You want to be mobile. So if there's a huge flooding in one state or one city, you want to be able to set up shop at a new city. You don't want all of your assets tied up physically, geographically in those assets. They're all internal in the global database that you have access to. And that's why this new group of folks are going to have exclusive access to, they already have these people. I mean, if you have the jets and you have the mobility and you have the access to the cash, geography is no longer a factor.
And the global database is also used with the no-fly and the no-buy to where we can't have jobs and live. They turn us off, and they're outside the nations they set up as tyrannies. They're outside, exempt from the laws that they made for us. Let's talk to Jeremy in California, then Dan in Germany. I'm going to twist Max's arm to stay with us till 29 after, if he can do it. Jeremy in California, go ahead.
Hey, man, I do have a comment for Max. Actually, a question, and I have a comment for you. I'm a .TV subscriber and have been for years. And I have to say that yesterday, your conversation with Steve Quayle and taking it back to the spring, I have to say that you really have been painting things with wide swaths so that you can say that you called something. And, you know, the broadcast you did back in the spring where you had your special Saturday broadcast, you literally changed directions in the course of less than a week. Yesterday you were on Coast to Coast, and you changed your opinion last night in less than 12 hours with Nori. You said, well, I think it could be a big hoax. And then 12 hours before that, you're on with Steve Quayle, and you guys are saying that it looks like it's 80% that this is the real thing. And I mean,
No, wait a minute. Stop. Put him on hold. Okay, we have a guest on. That's why I said it was on this issue, but I will address this. I do a radio show, a TV show. What I've said is on record. So it's not like I came in the start of the year in January and February and March and said, I believe they're going to try some flu thing, whether it's a hoax or not, as their cover. Then it happened in January. Then I got the level 6 document. People didn't believe it. Then it was proven mainstream news to be real.